Hey Sugar Fam, it's Chinwe here. Thank you so much for always tuning into my YouTube channel. Thank you also for liking, subscribing and commenting to my channel. So in this video today, I'm going to be showing you how to bake, how to decorate, how to make the yummy vanilla buttercream, how to prep your boards, and also how to texture your buttercream cake for your birthday. The first thing you want to do is to add your butter or your margarine to your bowl. Add your sugar and your oil. Then with a whisk or a hand mixer or a tabletop mixer, what you want to do is to whisk or beat this mixture very well until light and fluffy, just as in the video. Next, you add your vanilla and also your eggs. Then you beat very well until fluffy and creamy. To your flour, you add your baking powder and your baking soda and your corn flour and mix very well. Also whisk it so that all the lumps or dirt from the flour will not be in your main cake, okay? So using a scraper, I scrape down my bowl, and then the next thing I'm going to be doing is to add in my flour. So I alternate my flour and also my milk while I mix. So it is important to note that your flour always comes in last, especially when you're alternating with milk or buttermilk. Make sure that your flour always comes in last. This way you take out the air that you have already incorporated while mixing the flour, okay? After incorporating your flour and your milk and everything, it's time to pour in your butter into your prepared pan. So I'm using an 8-inch pan here. So I'm using 2 of the 8 inches pan because that's the quantity it contains. After adding my butter, I smooth out the top and level it. Then I heat it on the table before adding it to my oven to bake. Now over to the buttercream. What I do is add my butter or margarine, whichever one you're using, to a bowl, and you whisk very well until light and fluffy before adding your icing sugar and your flavor or your water. So I'm going to speed this up because I have a video where I showed a detailed process of making your buttercream. You can check it out in my YouTube channel. So this is how you want your buttercream to be after you've mixed it. Then I'm adding it to a bowl because I want to add some color to it. Here I'm using a bit of a blue color. So what I do is I mix it very well with my spatula until it's well incorporated. So to prep my board for cake, what I do is I get edible spirit and I also add it to the board using a kitchen towel or tissue or whatever. I clean off with the edible spirit. This way I'm taking out the dirt from the board so that it will not contaminate the cake. So after I've done that, I've prepped my board. I add a bit of buttercream to the board, and then I start adding my cake layer by layer. After I've added the first layer, I add my buttercream and I smooth out the top so that I can add the next one. So when I've added the next one, I go in and start crumb coating. Please, if you want a detailed video of how I crumb coat, go through my channel, or I will link it in the description box for you to go through it, okay? Using my scraper, I line it to the body of the cake so that it will be at an angle 90 degrees before I start scraping. And if you watch, I scrape from where my hand is, I turn the board around and it comes back to where my other hand is. Now the next thing I do after ensuring I've smoothed the body is to take off the excess on the top before I go in with my main decoration. Now after I've smoothed the top and ensured that everything is okay with the crumb coat, I go in and start adding my final coating. I always usually work from the top, so if you can't do that, you can start by the sides using your piping bag. I do also have a video of how I pipe or add buttercream to the sides of my cake using a piping bag. The next thing I do is to add to the sides of my cake. Notice that I add a quantity of buttercream to the sides of the cake because eventually I'm going to take it off. You don't want to add very little so that you would, when you're scraping off the buttercream, it will be showing through, and you don't want to add too much that is only icing that everybody is eating from your cake. Now when I'm done, the next thing I do is scrape off and make it as smooth as possible. Okay, so you see these places that have the creases, what you want to do is to go in with your buttercream and also fill up while you're smoothing out with your scraper. Okay, if you're finding it difficult to decorate cakes, all you have to do is keep practicing. I want to encourage you today to keep practicing and practicing, and you will get a hang of it. There is nobody that ever succeeded probably at one trial. Everyone tried a lot of times before they could be good at what they are doing. So please don't be discouraged. This is why I make this video, so that you can be able to be better. Okay, so now I'm going in with this textured scraper. You see the lines it's making. At first, when you start using it, the lines are going to be rough and your buttercream is going to look rough, but you have to keep doing it. If there are places that are poking through that your cake is showing, fill it up with buttercream and continue to smooth out. Okay, before you know it, you're going to have a very clean, fine line. The next thing I'll be showing you how to fill your piping bag for piping. But first, do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. So what you want to do is to fix in your piping tip. Then at the edge where you want it to be, make a mark with your scissors and take off the excess. After you've taken off the excess, fix in back or in your piping tip and it's secured. Then you can now fill your piping bag with your buttercream. So as a beginner, what I will advise you to do is to put in little quantity at a time. It takes practice for you to get a hang of how to control your piping, okay? Until you're perfect in it, please take it little at a time. So the piping tip I'm using here is a 1M tip, and this is the rosette I'm trying to pipe on the cake. I loved how this cake turned out. I also want to encourage you to please keep practicing. You would get better at what you have started doing or what you are doing, and I'm rooting for you as always. Thank you so much for always tuning into my channel. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for learning with me on this journey. I am so grateful. I love you all. See you in my next video.